This masterclass is all about the second layer, so good to keep that in mind. This is how it's all built up. It's also how it technically works. So merchandising builder, for example, is more important in how it works technically in what you see, more important than, for example, Boost and Berry. So it's good to keep that in mind. And as I said, we also have personalization, the last layer, but personalization works through multiple layers. So you can add personalization in the Boost and Berry module, but you can do it as well in the builder. So that's not only at one specific position, you can do it in several modules. And I will show you how you can add that to the Boost and Berry module as well, because we all know it in the builder already, but now you can add it to the Boost and Berry as well. So I hope this makes sense to all of you. So we have 5 layers in merchandising, and today we will focus on the commercial merchandising layer. So maximize the impact of your campaigns and promotions. And that's what you can do with Boost and Berry. As I said, personalization works through the different modules. So I thought it would be helpful to show you how personalization can be added to the commercial layer of your merchandising strategy, because then we have the input. So we collect data from your visitors, like what's their preferred color, what's their last viewed brand, what's their recent, what have they added to the cart. All those things we measure and we add to the profile of the customer. And in the Boost and Berry module, I will show later on how you can do that. You can add a boost for the personal products. And then the output, that's what you see at the right, is that in this case, the blue Nike running products are boosted to the top. So I guess this is an aggressive boost, because now you see all the personalized products at the beginning of the category page. You can also do a light boost, and then you see personalized products mixed through the lister page in combination with all the other merchandising strategies you have configured in Tweakwise. So that's how that works together. Well, let's start with Boost and Berry, because Boost and Berry is all about commercial control, because it's important that you have control over the visibility of your products based on campaigns, stock margin, brands, and all these strategies you are using in your web shop. It can either be temporary or structural. So, for example, if you have a sale campaign which only applies for the next 2 weeks, you can now schedule things with Boost and Berry. That's a very new feature we have within Tweakwise, because before this feature, it wasn't possible to schedule things. With Boost and Berry, it is. So you are more flexible now in scheduling your campaigns and other stuffs. But you can also add structural things in here. For example, if you always would like to bury products without stock, for example, to the very last position, you can also apply that in the Boost and Berry module. And it's the base. So the default merchandising layer always stays active. So it's good to know that it's a top commercial layer on top of your default sorting logic. It just waits within the whole weighting of the sorting of your web store category page. Well, because we have all those different layers and all those different modules where you can configure things in Tweakwise, I thought it would be helpful to give you a bit insight in what are you going to configure in which module, because we have the default sorting options, we have the Boost and Berry, and we have the builder, for example. What are the use cases for each specific module? So first of all, when do you use your default sorting versus the Boost and Berry module? Because at the left, you see how things were configured before Boost and Berry existed. So everything was added to the default sorting option because that worked good. But now we have the Boost and Berry module, and it is good to split those into in the separate modules. So for example, first of all, you had the stock, the margin, the Google Analytics data, the category pushes, even the seasonal pushes. They were all added to your default sorting. But some things can be configured in the Boson-Berry are more useful to configure in a Boson-Berry module instead of the default sorting. Because the default sorting is for the always true logic of your web shop. So this is the stable ranking. So for example, you would always like to use the item revenue, items viewed, popularity data from Google Analytics, for example, but also margin and stock level. Those things always stay important for your default sorting. So these things should be added to the default sorting still. But now you can use Boson-Berry for your more commercial goals. So for example, the seasonal pushes or the category pushes, those can be added to the Boson-Berry from now on. So you can say, yeah, it's summer. I would like to push all summer items for this certain period, and then you can add it there. And then it ends when then the period is over, and then you don't have to remove it from your sorting option. So it saves you a lot of work. You can configure a default sorting option, and then the dynamic part you can do in the Boson-Berry module order builder, for example, and you can keep the default sorting as it is. So that's about when do you use default sorting and when do you use Boson-Berry. Well, a lot of information, so I thought it would be nice to do a poll in between. I am curious how you are currently arranging your online shelf. So I think you all have a pop-up in your screen now where the poll pops up. Please let me know in what's how it is arranged at your end and what's the order of it. So are you doing it standard automation based on the default sorting? Are you already using temporary actions and campaigns manually or automatically via rules? Are you manually sorting everything? And are you using visual page structures already, like visuals in the builder and stuff? So please fill in the poll. I can see most of you are using it via standard sorting. So the A option is mostly selected, and then B. So the two top answers are most used at your end. So that's good to see, because you are already taking campaigns and stuff into account, and then that's where Boson-Berry comes in. So you're all the perfect users for the Boson-Berry module, I would say. Thanks for filling that in. Next up is how to use the builder versus the Boson-Berry module, because there's no better in this case. Both features have different goals, so just use the right tool for the right purpose. So I will walk you through that first. For example, when you would like to add a visual layer to your lister pages, that's where the builder is the best tool. It's not possible to use visuals or content in the Boson-Berry, so the module is meant for products only. And in the builder, you can add fixed positions for banners, visual grid, content tile. So when it comes to visually influence the lister page, then you need the builder. And for example, when you use fixed positions for sponsored positions, so for brand deals, for example, or retail media, in this case, it's also ideal to use the builder, because there you can select a fixed position. For example, you have a deal with Coca-Cola, and they say my product should always be shown at the 5th position. You can add that logic into the builder. That's not possible within the Boson-Berry, because that just adjusts the score. So it's not a fixed position, but just a weight in the whole sorting. But when it comes to dynamic campaigns, for example, sale, it's ideal to use the Boost and Berry module for this one, because then you can activate a boost on your sale products through the whole shop. So then you don't have to add multiple builder templates, for example. With the Boost and Berry module, you can do it all at once. So therefore, the Boost and Berry module is the best option for this purpose. And the last one, for example, you would like to clean up your whole assortment because you have some leftover stock. You can do that automatically in the Boost and Berry. So for this case, also the Boost and Berry is the way to go. So I hope this gives a bit more information about when to use which module. If there are any questions about that, please share them with us, because we would like to know, because we understand that it's sometimes a bit difficult, because it can be done, sometimes it can be done in both modules. So there's no good or bad in that, but we will help you set up the best practice if you would like us to do so. Well, I think then it's time for a live demo, because it's very easy to configure a Boost or a Berry in the Tweakers module. So I will share my screen again. I will stop this one and share a new one with the app. I think everyone sees the app now. Yes, perfect. Here you can see the Tweakers app. A little sidestep, we have launched a new menu last week. So it could be the case that you haven't seen it, the menu structure like this before. If you haven't, then in your Tweakers instance, there is a button at the bottom of your navigation which says switch to the new menu. So I would encourage you all to start using our new menu, because we think it's more intuitive, and it looks way cleaner than it did before. So I would say I'll start using it. And if you have any feedback on that, also please share it with us, because we would like to hear it all. Well, when you go to the Boost and Berry module, this is the overview you'll see. And here you can configure Boost or Berries. You can filter on the list. So if you have set up a lot of Boost and Berries, you can filter on it, on the scheduled, for example. And then you can create a new one by clicking New. Then you can set up a name. So for example, a Boost new products. Then you can select whether you would like to boost or berry something. So the configuration is exactly the same for a boost or a berry. So I'll keep it on boost for this example. The next step is to select what you would like to boost. So then you click on the plus, and then you see a list of everything you would like to can select for a boost or a berry. So for example, in this case, I would like to boost new products. So I'll select new. Maybe good to show that you could also do it based on an attribute. So if there is a specific attribute in your shop which says there is a new label, for example, so all products that are new have the new label, then you can select, okay, look at the attribute new label, and all products with the value new will be boosted then. So you can also do it like that. Then the next step is when should the boost be applied. So you can choose whether you would like to show it on the listed pages or in the search result pages, and then in both or in either one of them. So for example, you can boost new products in all categories if you toggle this option. But it's also possible to select a certain category. So if you would like to boost new products only for the category clothing, for example, then you select a specific category. So you can do it for all categories, or select the categories where you would like to apply this rule for. Then that's about categories, and it's also possible to use it for a certain search phrase. So that's where this option comes in. You can say, okay, boost all new products in this example for all search terms. So it doesn't matter what a customer searches for, the new product will always be boosted. But you could also do it for one specific search term. So for example, if a customer searches for new, then you can add the search term here. So when a customer searches for new, then the newest products will be boosted. And you can add multiple search terms in this field. And then you can do it for one of them or both. And the last step is to, or the last step or this is to determine when the boost should be applied. So you can select start and end date. It's not necessary to do so, so you can leave this unselected, then the rule always applies, but you can, you can schedule your campaign if you would like to do that. And then the last step is to define how strong the effect should be. So you could give it a light boost if you, just give it a little push, but not too much. Then a moderate boost, a strong boost, or an aggressive boost. I would advise you to use one of the predefined options, so one of these 4. But if you want fine-tuned control, it is possible to use the whole slider. From a light boost to an aggressive boost. And then once you have the option to make it very aggressive, well, then you make sure that those products will be boosted to the very, very, very top, for example. So that's how you can configure it. It works really easy, I would say. In one of the previous slides, I said it is also possible now to use personalization through Boostonberry. It works like this. So here you can find your personalized components as well. So for example, if you would like to use people like you, you'll add people like you to the boost, and then the personalized products will be boosted a bit or aggressively, or just how you like it. So this is the way you can use personalization through Boostonberry, and now it's possible just to not select a certain position, because that's how you did it before. In the builder, you selected, for example, the 3rd position for personalized products. Now you can say, okay, just push my personalized products. And then based on the algorithm, it determines which position the personalized product will be shown. That's it. In the demo shop, sorry, in the demo shop, you can see the effect of the Boostonberry. So that's good to mention. That there you can see, the numbers, the position of the products is switched based on the Boostonberry module. And a quick preview in the upcoming months, maybe sooner, we will release a feature where you can see an instant preview of your configuration of the Boostonberry. So then you can see before publishing your strategy or your rules, you can see here in this module what the effect of this boost or berry is on your sorting. So you can see things in real time before you publish it to live. So that's a nice one to have, I think. It will help you set up the best rules for this module. So that's on how it works. I will share my presentation again. And so I think you can see it again. So it's very easy to use. Define a goal, set up the rule, preview it instantly. So that's when it will come very soon, and then schedule and go live. Easy as it is. Then last part of this masterclass are some use cases, because I can imagine that it's sometimes a bit hard to think of use cases for these modules. For some cases, it isn't, but we would like to inspire you with some cases. Maybe it's helpful for you to set up your first Boosterberry rule after this masterclass. First one is, for example, the tropical boost based on your weather, because especially in the Netherlands, the weather can be switched on a daily basis. So for now, we have summer the last 2 weeks, but it could be the case that next week next day it will rain all day. In that case, you can create a boost in your Boost and Berry module. So for example, boost all products with the tag summer, because for the next 2 weeks it will be summer here, and all your summer products will be boosted to the top. So in this example, you see the sunglasses, the dresses will be pushed to the top, and the coats and the shirts will be pushed a bit down. So you can do that fully automated and scheduled. So especially the scheduled part is really nice to use for this case. Another one is the logistics cleanup. So bury the products with a low stock percentage, for example. So it's a conversion killer to show products with low stock at the top of your listed pages. And it's even nicer to show products with a full range of sizes, for example, at the top. So you could do this, configure this in a Boost and bury the products with the low stock. And the products will be still findable, but will be pushed a bit lower than the other products. And this one, you don't need scheduling for this one, for example, because this could be something that's temporary or structurally available, active in your shop. Then the third use case is based on the search term. This is one you see quite common, because, for example, once a customer searches for phone, it always also shows the accessories for this product. So also the cables, chargers, because they are bestsellers. So they will be shown at the top based on that rule. But once a customer searches for a phone, it would like to see a phone, so the main product instead of all accessories. So for this one, it could be helpful to set up a rule, select a search term. So you can say, once a customer searches for phone, then push down all the accessories, and always show them at the end of the lister page. And then once the customer searches for phone, in this case, the main products, the phones, will be shown first, and later on the accessories. So that can be really helpful to configure in the Boost and Berry module. I think these are the use cases. Hopefully we inspired you a bit. There are a lot of use cases you can use Boost and Berry for. I've seen you customers using it already for search cases, search phrases, for campaigns. Some things just can be fixed in your default sorting or in the builder, and then Boost and Berry is a very helpful feature to just boost or bury products based on any logic you would like to add here. So I'm just curious again, how will you start using Boost and Berry from now on? So which case is interesting for you? Please let me know. You will see a pop-up again. So please fill it in. Well, mostly for the seasonal campaigns and the boosts. I can see here 80% is using it, or will start using it for that. Some of you also for the search term merchandising, so specific search terms, boosting or burying. But the first one is the winner, I could say. Thank you for filling that in. It's nice to see that, and that's exactly how I think the main reason we build this module. So good to know that you will start using it for that purpose. Well, I think we are at the end of this masterclass. I hope you all know everything about Boost and Berry now. And if you have any question, there is room for questions now. So I don't know if there are already some questions I can share here. Yeah. I will do that. So if you have any questions based on Boost and Berry or the whole merchandising strategy, please drop them in the Q&A, then we can discuss them here. Just a moment. Okay. Just asked Leon which one he answered already. First one is from Andre Kotka. Second use case, low stock, can be solved by normal merchandising rules, right? Why do you need to bury the module? Yeah, good question. That is the case because this is a default or structural setting. So we always recommend to use that in the default sorting for that. But sometimes it is the case that based on other logic and somewhere in the merchandising machine, so somewhere in the 5 layers, that products aren't dropped to the very last page, for example. So in that case, with an aggressive berry, you are very sure that they will be dropped to the last page. There's a bit more control with Boost and Berry, but that's the only reason to use Boost and Berry for it, because it is a structural thing, so you can solve it with default sorting as well. Another from Arie van Zijveld. Can you give an example idea of the effect of a light boost versus a moderate boost or an aggressive boost? Yeah, it is a bit hard to say. I can say an aggressive boost, it does what it says. So then you are very sure that the products will be boosted to the very top or the very last position if you're using a berry, for example. The other ones, it is trial and error, I would say. That's how we use it for now. So a light boost, we saw that, for example, some products that are positioned without Boost and Berry, positioned at the 10th page, for example, will be boosted to the second or the third. And once you give them a moderate or strong boost, they will be shown at the first page. So it is a bit yeah, it is new for us as well, so it's a bit experimenting, I would say. So I would just say start using it, and with the live preview we'll be adding very soon, you can see the effect immediately. So I think that will be very helpful for all of you. Then you can see real time during while you configure your rule, you can see the impact. So then you can see the difference better. So there's no one answer to this question, unfortunately. Another one. From Remco Arendsen. Why is the connection between categories and Boost and Berry managed in a different way than, for instance, categories and filters and categories and sorting rules? You mean by linking it to the category? I think so. Yeah, that's just because of this is the very new module, and when we came up with this later on. So as you have seen, we are redesigning and restructuring the whole app this year, and in the coming months we will still do that. So and it's more intuitive in the Boost and Berry module to do it in there, because we believe it's easier to configure all things in one place, then you need two modules for it. So, for example, for the sorting rules, this is one of the modules we still have to redesign and relaunch. And once we have created there a new one for that, it could be the case that then it's also needed to select the categories within that module instead of doing it in a separate module. So we would like to do, to create it all from one place instead of needing multiple modules to configure one thing. So that's the reason why we added it to the Boost and Bury module without needing it to open the category module as well. So we would like, I think we will do that for more modules in the future. I think those were the questions. Quick look at Leon. Some questions left? Okay. Yeah, some questions are added. One from Job Stribos. Does the number of setting options remain at a maximum of 5? What do you mean by this? Do you only have 5 rules to configure? Is that the case? I think that's what you mean, because Boost and Bury is available for all merchandising levels, and I think because if you tested it you only can configure 5 now. So I'll write it down that we will adjust that for you, because then you have an unlimited amount of Boost and Bury rules, because we believe you can create as much as you need. I hope that answers your question. Then another one from Matthijs de Bok. Can you also use attributes to boost without only the labels? Yes, of course. So that's the option where you can select an attribute. It could be all attributes. So if you have an attribute in the feed and you would like to use that for boosting or burying, it can all be used. So it's not only based on labels, it's based on attributes. So all the data you have can be used in the Boost and Bury module. And then I think it's time for the last one. And that's the question, will Boost and Bury also be available for landing pages? I think this is about landing pages in Magento, for example. Nice question, because I heard this question yesterday for the first time, but you're not the first one asking for it. So we are considering this one. It isn't available now, but I believe it should be. So I think we will make it available for landing pages in the future as well, but not sure at this moment yet. But we will share more on that once we know it for sure. All right. I think we're out of time. Handled a lot of questions. Good to see that you have a lot of questions. Thank you for joining today. I hope you learned, and I hope you will start using the Boost and Bury module right away. I will check the numbers tomorrow morning, and hopefully you all start using it. If you have any questions or specific use cases you would like to just talk with us about, we can help. Just email support, and we would like to help you or think about the most common use cases for your industry, for example. So please let us know. We would like to help you. And then thank you for joining, and see you next time. Good luck. Bye.